From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, an event that has since become a focal point of historical inquiry and public fascination. While the official narrative, as concluded by the Warren Commission, attributes the assassination to a lone gunman, Lee Harvey Oswald, numerous aspects of the case continue to defy explanation. Over the decades, the release of thousands of documents, including the declassification of over 31,000 pages in March 2025, has only deepened the mystery rather than resolving it. These documents have revealed new details about Oswald's interactions with foreign agents and potential connections to intelligence agencies, yet many questions remain unanswered. From the infamous magic bullet theory to the presence of mysterious figures like the Umbrella Man and Badge Man, the inconsistencies and anomalies surrounding JFK's assassination persist. In this video, we'll delve into the most perplexing aspects of this historical enigma. Single bullet theory. The single bullet theory remains one of the most controversial aspects of the JFK assassination. According to the Warren Commission, a single 6.5 mm bullet fired from Lee Harvey Oswald's Mannlicher Carcano rifle struck President Kennedy in the upper back, exited through his throat, and then entered Governor Connolly's back, shattering a rib, emerging from his chest, passing through his wrist, and finally lodging in his thigh. The theory hinges on the idea that the two men were not sitting directly in line with one another, with Connolly positioned slightly lower and to the left, allowing for the bullet's complex path. Skeptics have long questioned the physics behind this theory. They argue that the bullet would have had to change direction mid-air to follow such a trajectory, labeling it as implausible or even magical. One of the most cited pieces of evidence against the theory is the condition of the bullet itself, Commission Exhibit 399. Despite supposedly causing extensive damage, the bullet appeared to be largely intact, raising doubts about whether it could have inflicted all 7 wounds. Detractors often refer to it as the pristine bullet or magic bullet, suggesting it must have been planted or that another bullet, and therefore another shooter, was involved. The location where the bullet was found also adds to the controversy. Discovered on a stretcher at Parkland Hospital, the bullet showed no visible traces of blood or tissue, prompting questions about whether it had truly passed through 2 bodies. Some researchers claim the gurney on which it was found may not have even belonged to Connolly, further muddying the narrative. These inconsistencies have led many to question the single bullet theory's validity and, by extension, the conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in the assassination. The Grassy Knoll and the Badge Man. The Grassy Knoll, the small hill near Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas, has long been central to alternative theories about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. On November 22, 1963, many eyewitnesses claimed they heard shots originating from this area rather than the Texas School Book Depository, where Lee Harvey Oswald was officially determined to have fired the fatal shots. Their testimonies have fueled decades of debate over the possibility of a second shooter. The Badge Man theory adds another layer of intrigue to the Grassy Knoll narrative. This figure, reportedly visible in a photograph taken by Mary Moorman, appears to be standing in the shadows near a picket fence on the knoll. Some analysts argue that the figure resembles a man in a uniform or with a reflective badge, possibly indicating law enforcement. According to proponents of this theory, Badge Man may have been in the ideal position to fire the fatal shot that struck Kennedy from the front, a point often cited in opposition to the official account, which states that all shots came from behind. The image itself is grainy and ambiguous, and no definitive identification of Badge Man has been made. Critics argue that the figure could be a photographic artifact or an optical illusion caused by light and shadow. Nevertheless, the mere possibility of a concealed shooter in that location has kept public interest alive. Over the years, numerous forensic experts, photographers, and researchers have analyzed the Mormon photo using various enhancements and techniques, yet the debate remains unresolved. The grassy knoll and the mysterious badge man symbolize the enduring suspicion that more occurred that day than has been officially acknowledged. For many, these elements serve as powerful icons of the unanswered questions that still surround the Kennedy assassination. The Umbrella Man. The man known as the Umbrella Man became an enduring figure in the tapestry of Kennedy assassination theories due to his unusual behavior during the Dallas motorcade. On a clear, sunny day, when no one else in Dealey Plaza carried an umbrella, he stood at the edge of the motorcade route, raising and opening a black umbrella just as the president's car approached. This seemingly benign action, captured in film and photographs, quickly drew attention for its strangeness and apparent timing, fueling widespread speculation. Some conspiracy theorists interpret his actions as a covert signal to others involved in a coordinated attack. One theory posits that the umbrella was a signaling device, indicating the precise moment to fire. Another, even more controversial, suggests the umbrella was modified to fire a paralyzing dart, possibly containing a toxin or tranquilizer meant to immobilize Kennedy and make him an easier target for gunfire. Proponents of these ideas cite the president's sudden, uncharacteristic reactions just before being shot, interpreting them as signs of some external stimulus beyond the bullets themselves. Despite these theories, the mystery surrounding the Umbrella Man took a turn when a man named Louis Stephen Witt came forward in 1978 during the House Select Committee on Assassinations investigation. Witt testified under oath that he was the individual holding the umbrella and that his actions were a symbolic protest. He explained that the umbrella referenced British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, who famously carried an umbrella and was widely criticized for his policy of appeasement toward Adolf Hitler. Witt said his intention was to criticize Kennedy's father, Joseph P. Kennedy, who had supported Chamberlain during the 1930s. Although Witt's explanation seemed plausible and was accepted by the committee, skepticism persists among conspiracy theorists. For them, the oddity of the open umbrella, the precision of its appearance, and the enduring secrecy of the day's events make the Umbrella Man more than just a protester. He remains an ambiguous, almost theatrical figure, representing both the bizarre and unresolved nature of the Kennedy assassination. The Babushka Lady. The Babushka Lady has remained one of the most mysterious and intriguing figures connected to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Seen in multiple photos and films, she stood relatively close to the presidential motorcade, wearing a headscarf reminiscent of those worn by elderly Russian women, hence the nickname. She appeared to be filming or taking photographs at the very moment the shots rang out in Dealey Plaza, placing her in a prime location to potentially capture vital evidence of the assassination. Despite her visible presence in numerous frames, including the Zapruder film and others, her identity has never been definitively confirmed, and the footage she was supposedly taking has never been recovered. This absence has stirred significant speculation. If the Babushka Lady did indeed film the assassination, her footage could offer a unique perspective on the exact sequence of events, the behavior of the people around her, and possibly even the origin of the shots. The fact that this film has never emerged, even decades later, has led some to suspect that it was either confiscated or intentionally suppressed by authorities. In 1970, a woman named Beverly Oliver came forward claiming to be the Babushka Lady. She stated that she was using an experimental Super 8 camera, and that shortly after the assassination, two men identifying themselves as government agents approached her and confiscated her film. However, her story has been met with skepticism. Critics have pointed out inconsistencies, including doubts about whether the camera she claimed to use even existed in 1963. Others question her age at the time and whether she matches the appearance of the woman in the photos. With no verifiable footage and no conclusive identification, the Babushka Lady continues to represent one of the great what-ifs of the Kennedy assassination. Her presence so close to the scene, combined with the complete disappearance of any footage she may have captured, adds to the layers of suspicion and unresolved questions that have fueled countless theories over the decades. Oswald's alleged KGB connections. Lee Harvey Oswald's connections to the Soviet Union have long fueled speculation about his true motives and possible involvement in a broader conspiracy. After defecting to the USSR in 1959, Oswald lived in Minsk for nearly 3 years, married a Russian woman, and seemed to integrate into Soviet life before unexpectedly returning to the United States in 1962. This unusual trajectory has drawn attention from both investigators and conspiracy theorists who question whether Oswald was ever truly a lone actor. Declassified documents released in recent years have added to this intrigue, particularly those related to Oswald's trip to Mexico City in late September 1963, just weeks before the assassination. While in Mexico, Oswald visited both the Cuban and Soviet embassies in an apparent attempt to secure visas. According to CIA surveillance and diplomatic logs, Oswald met with several individuals during his stay, including a Soviet official believed to be Valery Kostakov, who was reportedly affiliated with the KGB and worked in the Soviet embassy's Department 13, known for overseeing sabotage and assassination operations. This alleged meeting with a known KGB officer raises serious questions about whether Oswald had deeper ties to Soviet intelligence or if his actions were part of a broader Cold War plot. U.S. intelligence agencies at the time were alarmed by the possibility of foreign involvement, but no conclusive evidence ever emerged to prove coordination between Oswald and any foreign power. Nonetheless, the very fact that such a meeting may have occurred has continued to inspire doubt about the official narrative. The CIA's failure to share timely information about Oswald's Mexico City trip with other agencies prior to the assassination has also led to criticism and suspicion of a potential cover-up. Though there is still no definitive proof that Oswald acted on behalf of a foreign government, the combination of his defection, Soviet connections, and shadowy movements in Mexico suggests that the full extent of his affiliations may never be completely known. The Mafia's involvement. The theory that the Mafia played a role in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy has endured for decades, largely due to the volatile relationship between the Kennedy administration and organized crime. Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, in particular, led an aggressive campaign against the Mafia, overseeing a dramatic increase in indictments and convictions of mob figures. This crackdown came after years of alleged backroom deals between political operatives and organized crime during the 1960 election, leading some to believe that the Mafia felt betrayed by the administration they had once helped. One of the most frequently mentioned names in this theory is Sam Giancana, the powerful Chicago mob boss who was allegedly involved in CIA plots to assassinate Cuban leader Fidel Castro. These ties between the CIA and organized crime documented in various investigations have led to speculation that the lines between government operations and underworld activity were more blurred than officially acknowledged. Giancana and other mob figures reportedly believed that eliminating Kennedy would remove the pressure coming from Robert Kennedy's Justice Department. Jack Ruby, the nightclub owner who killed Oswald, also contributes to the theory. Ruby had known connections to organized crime and moved in circles that overlapped with both political and criminal worlds. His sudden killing of Oswald, before Oswald could be fully questioned, sparked immediate suspicions that Ruby may have acted to silence a key witness in a broader conspiracy. Despite the tantalizing connections and circumstantial evidence, no direct proof has emerged to conclusively tie the Mafia to the assassination. Congressional investigations, including the House Select Committee on Assassinations in the 1970s, acknowledged that organized crime had the motive and means but stopped short of declaring their involvement as fact. To this day, the Mafia theory remains one of the most widely discussed alternatives to the lone gunman narrative, representing the enduring skepticism that powerful interests may have had a hand in silencing a president who had turned against them. the CIA's possible role. The possibility of CIA involvement in President Kennedy's assassination remains one of the most persistent and controversial theories. During the height of the Cold War, the CIA engaged in numerous covert operations, including orchestrated coups, assassination attempts on foreign leaders, and secret alliances with organized crime. This clandestine activity, combined with the agency's resistance to oversight, has led many to suspect that rogue elements within the CIA may have had the motive and capability to orchestrate Kennedy's death. A key point of contention centers on Kennedy's evolving stance toward Cuba and the Soviet Union. After the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, which was planned and supported by the CIA, Kennedy reportedly became increasingly distrustful of the agency. He even remarked that he wanted to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. His reluctance to commit to further military action against Cuba, particularly after the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, clashed with the more aggressive anti-communist posture held by many within the intelligence community. Some theorists argue that elements within the CIA viewed Kennedy as a threat to national security objectives, especially if they believed he was too soft on communism or intended to withdraw from Vietnam, a conflict the agency had significant interest in. The notion that these rogue operatives could have acted independently or in coordination with other disaffected groups has been explored in books, documentaries, and congressional investigations. The release of declassified documents in recent years has added new fuel to the theory, particularly regarding CIA surveillance of Lee Harvey Oswald before the assassination. Questions remain as to why the CIA did not adequately share intelligence about Oswald's movements and foreign contacts, especially his visit to Mexico City and possible contact with Soviet and Cuban officials. Though no definitive evidence has surfaced linking the CIA to the assassination, the agency's history of secrecy, its Cold War agenda, and its friction with Kennedy provide a foundation for continued suspicion. For many, the theory reflects broader concerns about unchecked power within the intelligence community and its potential to influence domestic affairs. The Warren Commission's limitation. The Warren Commission, established by President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1963, was tasked with investigating the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Its final report, released in 1964, concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in killing Kennedy and that there was no evidence of a conspiracy. While the report was initially accepted by much of the public, scrutiny over time has revealed significant limitations in its investigation, leading to widespread doubt and criticism. One of the most notable criticisms is the Commission's narrow mandate and constrained timeline. Pressured to deliver findings quickly in order to quell public unrest, the Commission was not able to explore all possible leads thoroughly. It relied heavily on information from federal agencies like the FBI and CIA, both of which later admitted to withholding relevant details. This reliance compromised the Commission's ability to independently verify key aspects of the case, particularly regarding Oswald's background, his travels, and potential connections to foreign entities or domestic groups. The Commission also failed to account for or explain conflicting witness testimonies and physical evidence. For instance, many eyewitnesses in Dealey Plaza reported hearing shots from the direction of the Grassy Knoll, yet the Commission largely dismissed these accounts in favor of the lone gunman theory. Similarly, the controversial single bullet theory, used to explain how one bullet could have wounded both Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally, was met with skepticism and has never been universally accepted. Subsequent investigations, most notably the House Select Committee on Assassinations in the late 1970s, challenged the Warren Commission's findings. The committee concluded that Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy, citing acoustic evidence and other inconsistencies. Although the committee did not identify specific conspirators, its conclusions reinforced public suspicion that the full truth had not been uncovered. The Warren Commission's legacy is one of both historical importance and deep controversy, with its limitations continuing to fuel debates and alternative theories about what really happened in Dallas on November 22, 1963. The role of Secret Service. The role of the Secret Service during the assassination of President John F. Kennedy has been a subject of extensive scrutiny and criticism. On November 22, 1963, several lapses in protocol and judgment became apparent, leading to questions about whether the president received the full level of protection required. Notably, some agents were reportedly out late the night before, which may have affected their alertness. Additionally, the motorcade route through Dealey Plaza, with its sharp turns and open spaces, was considered risky but was not altered or better secured. One of the most questioned actions was the lack of reaction from agents in the seconds between the first shot and the fatal headshot. In particular, the absence of agents riding on the rear bumper of the limousine, standard practice for closer protection, has drawn criticism. The presence of a follow-up car carrying agents did not prevent the tragedy, and questions remain as to why no agents intervened more quickly. These failures have led some to speculate about incompetence, while others suggest possible willful neglect or complicity. In the aftermath, the Secret Service overhauled many of its procedures, but the events of that day left a lasting stain on the agency's reputation. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy continues to be a subject of intense scrutiny and debate. Despite numerous investigations and the release of thousands of documents, many aspects of that fateful day remain shrouded in mystery, from the magic bullet theory to the presence of enigmatic figures like the Umbrella Man and Badge Man. The inconsistencies and anomalies surrounding JFK's assassination persist. As new information emerges and old theories are revisited, the quest for truth continues. Whether one believes in the official account or subscribes to alternative theories, the assassination of JFK remains one of the most compelling and enigmatic events in modern history. If you found this exploration of JFK's assassination intriguing, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with others interested in historical mysteries.